The restaurant was the kind where silence felt expensive. Crystal glasses gleamed beneath golden lights, soft piano music drifted through the air, and conversations hummed politely across tables filled with laughter. But in the far corner, where the shadows lingered just a little longer, sat a man untouched by any of it. Ethan Cole, one of the youngest self-made millionaires in the country, dined alone. Again, he didn't notice the music, he couldn't hear the laughter. The world around him existed in motion but not in sound, like a film with no audio. Born deaf, Ethan had learned to navigate life through observation, discipline, and relentless determination. He had built an empire in tech, apps designed for accessibility, tools that bridged communication gaps, but somehow he had never managed to bridge the quiet distance in his own life. People admired him, they respected him, but they rarely stayed. Across the room, unnoticed by most, a cleaning lady pushed her cart slowly between tables, careful not to disturb the guests. Her name was Rosa. She wore a worn-out uniform and carried the quiet exhaustion of someone who worked too many hours for too little pay. Strapped gently against her chest in a soft cloth wrap was her baby. The child, no more than a year old, had wide, curious eyes and a habit of watching everything as if the world itself was a story unfolding just for her. As Rosa passed Ethan's table, the baby suddenly leaned forward. Then, something unexpected happened. The baby reached out toward Ethan and began moving her tiny hands. Clumsy, uneven, but unmistakable. She was signing. Ethan froze. His fork hovered mid-air as his eyes locked onto the child. His heart gave a sudden, unfamiliar jolt. Most people didn't notice his silence. Fewer understood it. Almost no one spoke his language. But this baby, this tiny, unexpected presence, was trying. Her fingers formed imperfect shapes, more instinct than precision, but Ethan recognized them instantly. Hello. The simplest word, the loudest moment of his life. For a second, the world around him disappeared completely. The clinking glasses, the shifting chairs, the invisible music, all of it faded into nothing. There was only that child, reaching across a divide most people never even saw. Ethan slowly set down his fork. His hands, steady but hesitant, rose into view. He signed back. Hello. The baby's face lit up instantly, as if she had been waiting for that answer her entire life. She giggled, a sound Ethan couldn't hear, but somehow he felt it anyway. Her small hands flapped excitedly, trying to mimic him again. Rosa noticed then. She stopped, startled, her eyes darting between Ethan and her child. Embarrassment washed over her face as she quickly adjusted the baby. "I'm so sorry," she said instinctively, though Ethan couldn't hear her. But he didn't need to. He shook his head gently, offering a soft smile, something he rarely gave. Then, carefully, he gestured toward the baby and signed slowly, making sure Rosa could understand. "She's amazing." Rosa blinked, confused for a moment. Then realization dawned. You understand her?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Ethan nodded. Tears welled up in Rosa's eyes before she could stop them. She can't hear," Rosa whispered, clutching her baby closer. "The doctor said she never will. I didn't know what to do. I started watching videos, trying to learn. I didn't even know if I was doing it right." Ethan looked at the baby again, then back at Rosa, and for the first time in a very long time, something inside him shifted. He gestured to the empty chair across from him. "Sit." Rosa hesitated. People like her didn't sit at tables like this. They cleaned around them. They disappeared from them. But Ethan waited. Slowly, uncertainly, she sat down. What followed wasn't just a meal. It was a conversation, one that transcended sound entirely. Ethan signed, gently, patiently, teaching Rosa the correct movements while she repeated them with nervous determination. The baby watched, delighted, clapping her tiny hands as if she understood the significance of every moment. For the first time, Ethan wasn't alone at a table. Time passed unnoticed. Plates went cold, but something warm and extraordinary filled the space between them. Eventually, Rosa checked the time and gasped, quickly standing up. "I'm so sorry, I have to finish my shift," she said hurriedly. Ethan nodded, but before she could leave, he reached for his phone. He typed something, then turned the screen toward her. "I want to help." Rosa shook her head immediately. "No, sir, I can't accept." He interrupted her with a gentle but firm look. "This isn't charity." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "This is connection. Tears spilled freely down Rosa's cheeks now. Within weeks, everything changed. Ethan funded specialized education for the baby, speech therapists, sign language tutors, access to the best resources available. But he didn't stop there. He created a foundation, a network, a movement, centers across the country where deaf children and their families could learn, communicate, and thrive together without feeling isolated or forgotten. And at the heart of it all was a simple truth: no one should have to live in silence alone. Months later, at the opening of the first center, Ethan stood before a crowd. He couldn't hear their applause, but he could see it, hands raised, waving in the air. The deaf community's version of clapping. A sea of silent appreciation. In the front row sat Rosa, and in her lap her baby. The same baby who had once reached out across a restaurant table and unknowingly changed a man's life. Ethan looked at her, then signed one word: thank you. Because sometimes the smallest gestures speak the loudest, and sometimes it takes a child, without words, to remind the world how to truly listen.